All right, hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the Rhythm Rundown. But Cade, this one is special because this is our official Super Bowl edition of the Rhythm Rundown. You and I, we're almost this is our Super Bowl too because this is our first year together. You and I doing shows. We've been doing it ever since what was it, late August? I remember one of our earlier ones, Cade. I was on vacation on Cape Cod, and I distinctly remember. I think it was the last week in August where it was. I believe it was either Nebraska, Cincinnati, or one of those games where I want to say Cincinnati lost but covered the number. So it's been a long time coming here, man. But I'm really proud of us what we've done this year, and hopefully provided people a lot of insights how to use rhythm to their advantage because that's always the goal. But really, Cade, this is our Super Bowl edition, so I want to talk, of course, what we're thinking about for the big game. We're now only 3 days away. We kind of teased some of our thoughts last week, but ironically, there hasn't been much movement on the number since last Thursday to this Thursday. But I think there are some changes that have taken place over the past week, and we're kind of getting into that crazy last few days, last 48, 72, 24 hours where line movement is really, really critical because kind of the way these books operate, you're going to set the number out there first at low limits. Today, Thursday, is a day where a lot of these books are going to increase their limits. So I'm really interested to see between now and Sunday, do we start to see maybe this line creep up to 5? Do we see Seahawks -4.5, -115, -120? Or do we start to see this line get juiced up toward New England +4.5, -115, and kind of get down to 4? So that's one thing that I'm monitoring. But I'm really excited to pick your brain, see what you have in pocket, what you're waiting on. So I want to talk, of course, Patriots, Seahawks, a Super Bowl. If we have best bets here for the side, for the total. And then, of course, got to get into some prop bets here because we're looking at a bunch of player props with some really good rhythm system matches and discrepancies. And then if we have time, Cade, I got some college basketball here. So maybe if we can squeeze in a few college hoops plays at the end, that'll be fun as well. But how you doing, my man? The floor is yours. Take me into the way, you're thinking here, just 3 days away. Because it feels like last week just took forever, and this week is flying by, and the game's almost here.
Yeah, part of it's a little bittersweet in a way because it literally feels like we just started this whole thing, and now football season's pretty much on the grips of ending, of course. But yeah, big week, obviously, in terms of. I mean, it's the last day of football, so I mean, it feels like everybody has to go all out, whatever, by all means, whatever. We've gotten so many messages like, how much are we putting on this game or whatever for the Super Bowl party? It's just like, guys. No, I mean, not all. I mean, I don't want to say a whole lot changes. Obviously, I know we kind of hit on that a little bit in the first episode of last week. Same thing that we've kind of always done, more so playoff data than a little bit of regular season kind of stuff. But yeah, like I said, man, it's football. We're gonna cherish it. We're gonna bet the coin tosses. We're gonna bet the anthem. We're gonna get the blood flowing early. So I'm ready for Sunday, but I'm not ready for it to be over quite yet.
That's a great way to put it. I'm excited for obviously the game here too, and yeah, it is bittersweet just because football season. It's just the best sport to bet on. Obviously, when we get into system plays and just the way football doesn't ask a lot of you, Cade. That's what I kind of like about NFL and college. I love to bet baseball every single day. I'm a crazy person. I love betting, college hoops every single night. But there's something about football where it's once a week. It's Sundays, it's Saturdays. Yeah, your Thursday nighter, your Monday nighter. But I think one big reason why football is such a great sport to bet on, aside from just it being extremely popular and fun to watch and sweat, is that, it doesn't ask a lot of you. You're able to kind of do your day job, wait till the weekend. Obviously, we work in the betting industry, so we're tracking these lines all day. But I would just tell people, hey, we can still bet on the NFL draft coming up. There's other opportunities. Before we'll talk win totals. There's obviously the NFL awards tonight, Cade. So I don't know if you're holding any tickets. I got a Mike Vrabel Coach of the Year at +200 that I'm really hoping comes through tonight. But just remember, the NFL, the games are the best part, but there are other money-making opportunities throughout the year. So just wanted to mention that. Before we dive in, I just wanted to share my screen here, Cade, as we can kind of unveil, the way we look at the Rithmm homepage, and always just try to remind people that Rithmm is constantly updating, upgrading, advancing the product, which is one thing that I really love. And one big new feature that we have is the parlay builder. So if you are the type of bettor who likes to bet parlays, I think the vast majority of bettors do. I'm cautious when it comes to parlays. I think I always have to caveat that because I'm the type of person that leans more on individual bets. But what I like about the parlay builder with Rithmm is that it's going to help you to select which legs to use. So if people are going to bet parlays anyway, Cade, they might as well take advantage of what Rithmm is suggesting to them. Like if you have 5 games you want to put in a 5 game, legger, maybe Rithmm says, hey, you should cut that down to 3 and use these 3. So that's one awesome feature that just want to remind everyone, and you can watch that tutorial on the homepage. And then, of course, we have all the different getting started tutorials. We have our Discord. We have our refer a friend. And if you haven't done it yet, give the Rithmm app a 5-star review on the App Store as well. But with that being said, Cade, I want to set the stage, kind of walk through what I'm thinking, what I'm looking at here, and then maybe we can just start with the side, because I think there's a kind of an alignment here between what the betting market is kind of telling us a bit cryptically, but then also with what Rithmm is predicting here. So I mentioned this last week, and not much has changed here, Cade. First thing that jumps out to me for the Super Bowl is it is a contrarian opportunity. So sometimes you get into Super Bowls and it's like 50-50 ticket split, 52-48, 55-45. This is a bit lopsided here. I mean, we're looking at right now nearly 2/3 of tickets laying it with Seattle. Now, Seattle did open at some shops -3.5 and immediately get up to 4.5. You do have a couple books out in Vegas, I noticed. I want to say it's like the Superbook and maybe South Point that are at 5. But the vast majority of the betting market is sitting right there at 4.5. So, as I mentioned earlier, the next couple of days, do we get up to 5? Do we get down to 4? That's something that I'll be monitoring. But I like the Patriots plus 4.5 here, Cade. Number one, if you do want to tease them up to 10.5, makes a ton of sense. Go through the 7, go through the 10. You also look at a contrarian opportunity. I mean, I read an article today. It was really interesting, talking about how this is going to be and you tweeted it out, Cade, by the way, this is going to be the most bet Super Bowl of all time. When we talk about ticket count, money, you also got to think about the legal betting landscape. We're up to nearly 40 legal states that offer legalized betting. So as a result, this is going to be the most heavily bet. It's always the most heavily bet sporting event, but really with legalization, it's on steroids at this point. So I could stop the conversation now and say the most heavily bet sporting event in the history of sports. That's what this year's Super Bowl is going to be. And 2/3 of bets are on Seattle. So as a contrarian bettor who likes to go against the grain, go against the masses, place myself on the side of the house, I love the New England side, just getting 1/3 of tickets. You look at Circa, pretty good split out in Vegas, only 1/3 of tickets, but nearly 50% of the money. And then we get into some of these playoff betting systems. Playoff dogs who missed the postseason the previous year. You and I have talked about this system all throughout the playoffs. It's 4-1 against the spread this postseason. It's now 30-13 against the spread, 70%, 35% ROI since 2020. And then if we look at Super Bowl dogs in particular, Cade, they're 15-7 against the spread, 68%, with a 32% ROI since 2004. And if you were a Super Bowl dog getting 3 or more, you're even better. You're 11-4 against the spread. Since 2004, that is a 73% win rate. You look at last year, we were in a pretty good dog stretch, generally speaking, and they've covered in the last 5. We had the Eagles getting 1.5 last year, winning outright, crushing the Chiefs. Year before that, we had the Chiefs beating the 49ers. They were getting 2.5 in that game. Year before that, you had the Chiefs beat the Eagles when they were a dog. But what I'll compare, and it's given me kind of like, not PTSD, deja vu, I guess is a better phrase, the Bengals and the Rams, your Bengals, Cade. Because if you remember that Super Bowl, what was it, the 2021-22 season, it was the same exact number. It was Bengals getting 4.5 against the Rams. And the Rams, I remember, were a big public play. They win the Super Bowl, they win the game, but all we care about is covering the number. So even though the Bengals lost that game, they were getting 4.5, just like the Patriots here, and they covered that number. All that, push it aside. Let's just go to what Rithmm is predicting here. All 3 of my models, Cade, are going Pats in the points. First model is a parlay piece, Patriots plus 0.7, so a near 4-point edge off the current price. Second piece, Patriots minus 0.9, so maybe even favored by a point in this game. And the one I really like, Patriots plus 4.5. This is a green star recommended play. Pats should only be getting about a half point, plus 0.4. So Rithmm is saying this should be about a 1-point game either way. I can bet against the public, go with these system matches on dogs. I think the Pats, again, are in that spot that Burrow was in against the Rams. Cade, I'm going Pats plus 4.5. The floor is yours, my man. What are you doing with the side?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. And I want to preface, I promise, I'm not crying. My allergies are ridiculous right now. You could say am emotional about the last football game, but we'll move on past that. All right. Allergy season sucks. Anyways, the spread is decently high for a Super Bowl. I said that last week. For traditionally, and we said this again last week as well. For traditionally in the regular season, doesn't seem like a lot, but when you have best team going pretty much at it at that point, then it kind of seems like a decent amount of points to be given, especially in the biggest game of the year. There's no huge injuries on either side, I don't think. At least I didn't see. Nonetheless, I think both teams have pretty much battled on both sides. They're very well coached teams. I just can't see this being more than a one score game or a one possession game, if that. The only question is that being a touchdown or a field goal. Hopefully, it's a field goal for our case. But going back to what you said, public perception is the main focus of this. And then throwing in the models on top of the market influence, cherry on the top. I absolutely love what the model said about this one. Two of them think the Patriots are favored. The other one has right under Patriots under a point. So yeah, I'm with you here as well at the 4.5, and then yeah, that's about it.
Totally agree with you, man. And by the way, you're fighting through your allergies. I respect you, buddy. If you got to sneeze, you got to blow your nose, whatever you need to do, man. You just give me like a little wink. I'll start talking, give you a chance there. So I've been there, man. I've been on shows when I had to sneeze or do whatever. So just know that we're make an emergency. I don't know if you ever have those.
Trigger,
really
yeah.
When I'm
trigger fingers on mute right now. So,
but appreciate you battling through, man. But a couple of things that I just want to kind of tack on to what you said, like the perception of this game. I mean, I saw this tweet right as we're getting ready to do our show, and listen to this, Cade. Of the 34 NFL Network personalities who had to make a pick on this game, 30 of them are on Seattle. So at NFL Network, 30 of 34 experts are on Seattle. At ESPN, 47 of 57 ESPN experts are on Seattle. The Athletic, 8 out of 8 experts are on Seattle. So that's one of those things that I think as a new bettor, like when I was brand new to sports betting, I would see something like that and be like, oh, I got to be on Seattle. Everyone else is on them. Therefore, these are experts. I need to be with the smart people who obviously are smarter than me, and I want to be on the same side, same position they are. Then kind of when you kind of adopt this contrarian approach, this contrarian mentality of anytime you see just lopsided support in one direction, you automatically want to go the other way. I see that and I get really excited to bet New England. Just the fact that everyone is so loading up and really not giving the Patriots a shot in this game. I would also point to the fact that if the Seahawks are such a great team and such a public play, I'm waiting to see if I can get a 5K. Why can't I get a 5? Why isn't this game at 5.5? Like, think of it from the odds maker's perspective. Like, if they're getting hit with all this constant barrage of Seattle bets left and right, and every show you turn on in America is saying Seattle's the better team, Patriots had an easy schedule, which is true, I fully admit, then why hasn't this line ticked up further? I think when you can compare and contrast what the media narrative and the national narrative is with what the betting market is doing, a lot of times they're going to be maybe similar, but a lot of times they're going to be different. So the fact that everyone's playing Seattle, yet we're kind of sitting right at 4.5, that tells me the books don't want to give out a 5 or more to the Patriots backers. You also look at kind of the overlooked factor. I know I'm getting into some, variables here that maybe you can't quantify, but Cade, going into Super Bowl, I mean, we just talked about all these dogs and how these dogs have done so well in the big game. I would much rather be in the position of being a dog and playing the card of, oh, they don't believe in us and, we can shock the world, versus Seattle, who's got a lot of pressure. And I can tell you just from, listening to talk radio in Boston, there's a big debate over Sam Darnold. A lot of people think, oh, he's great now. A lot of people in New England who remember him with the Jets are like, I know that Sam Darnold sees ghosts and turns it over. He's in there somewhere, and maybe he comes out here in the Super Bowl. So I just think from the standpoint of betting against the public, system matches with dogs doing so well historically in the Super Bowl, and then Rithmm. I mean, this is the Rithmm Rundown, and Rithmm is saying you should take the points here. It should be a 1-point game either way. So I really like the fact that the narrative is the Patriots are a cute little, the little engine that could and doesn't deserve to be here versus Seattle, this big juggernaut who maybe is getting too much love and too much support. So anytime you can kind of sell high on one team, Seattle, buy low on the other, the Patriots, obviously important. Now, you mentioned some injuries here. Latest intel, Drake May's shoulder is a huge topic of conversation, but he said, I believe it was on Monday, that he quote unquote turned a corner. I think the weather is a big advantage here. Like Seattle, it's like 67 degrees. He's had 2 weeks to prepare. He's practiced fully, and these practices are watched by, pool reporters. You can't really hide anything. You can't cheat on, limited or full participation or didn't practice. Like, he's a full go here. There was a little injury last night with Nick Eman-Wari, their really good rookie safety, who might have twisted his ankle in practice, although I would assume he's probably good to go. So to your point, looks like everyone's healthy in this game. But again, this is a contrarian play that's backed up by Rithmm. So I really like the points here with the Patriots. Let's get to the total here, Cade, because last time you and I talked last week, we had some conflicting models. I remember we had a couple books or a couple systems from Rithmm saying, hey, lean over. I remember there's one book leaning under. Now we have seen this total drop a bit. We opened at a lot of shops for the Super Bowl around 46, even 46 and a half. We've now seen this line get down to 45 and a half. And I remember last week when you and I were doing the show, there were still some 46 out there. Really, there's none left. It's all 45 and a half. If you look at the splits right now, this is another contrarian play. You look at Circa right now, only 32% of bets are on the under, yet we're seeing this total fall. Obviously, it is outdoor, and I was doing some research, Cade, like the surface at Levi Stadium, and it looks like it is mostly grass. Maybe it's kind of synthetic too, but I kind of like playing grass unders more than the turf, just because the grass is a little higher and you don't have as much slick footing. So maybe that's a small thing, but that would lean you a little more under. But really, let's just go to the Rithmm models. I have 3 models all in the under. First is a Green Star 41.8. Second is a Green Star 43.1. And third is a caution, but a 42.3. So Rithmm is predicting, around 41, 42 points in this one. Obviously, Seattle's put up a ton of points this year. Patriots offense has struggled a bit in the postseason, but I would argue there's been a lot of games, a lot of elements, and wind and snow. So I don't really know how good your offense is going to look there. But these are 2 of the best scoring defenses in football. So thoughts, Cade, on the total? We can still get a 45 and a half. It's a bit of a key number. A 24-21 game lands on, 45. You need the hook there. I would lean under for sure. It's a little contrarian, and we do have these Rithmm models. But what's your take, and how do you see this total playing out here?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people, a lot more people, I think, people that I actually know playing the under in this one, which has given me a lot of confidence, because if you were here last week, this was the first play that I had at 46 and a half. Still on that, nothing's changed. If anything, has honestly just gotten more confident in it by the amount of people that I've honestly kind of seen jump on it, and then public perception again on the other way. Hit on it last week though. Biggest game of the year. Everybody's going to root for points in this. I mean, it's just the way it is. It's a common fade the public play. It's probably the biggest fade the public play, if I had to guess, almost every other Super Bowl, if I honestly. But there was one thing that we were hitting on last week that I wanted to kind of bring back up, because I did hop on that, and I took your advice here. I ended up teasing Pats with the under, so I actually jumped through the keys, went through Pats 10.5, took the under 52.5. And that is really going to be my main play, just because of the value that's behind it. I got this for minus 115, and I love
Well done, man.
I think both coaches here are very old school defensive minded guys. And I think you can play it safe with this option if that is available to you. Nonetheless, I'm still very confident in a full game under regardless, but just to hit on it a little bit, obviously, both defenses, they are top 10 in EPA per play. It's a similar handicap to the Pats 4.5 play, to be honest with you, just because of the market influence that's on top of that. So the 10.5 just kind of gets you a little bit more of the better end of it, in case if this is for some reason a touchdown game, which again, like I said earlier, didn't really expect it to be, but for all sakes and purposes, that's why we have the 10.5 there. I just think it's a closer game than a lot of people think, and I think it's a pretty boring game that a lot of drunk guys are going to hate us for. So that's what we're going to root for. No points, and Patriots close game.
No, shout out to you, man. You're a humble, wise guy. I mean, again, you don't want to jinx it because a lot of times when you get great CLV, you get so excited that you almost worry like I gotta lose this now. Don't you ever get that feeling like you get a dog like
Every time.
Yeah, college hoops, you get a dog plus 10.5. They're down to 8.5, and you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna lose because this is lining up too perfectly for me. So shout out to you, man. I remember you mentioning that in the last stream, and that is a great ticket to be holding right now. Plus 10.5 New England, under 52.5. And again, minus 115. That's a great price there. One thing I'm looking at, Cade, is with the weather, it's gonna be like high 60s. I wonder if there might be maybe some rain. It looks like probably not, but you are seeing about a week ago it was like, oh, clear skies, nothing to worry about. But you're now seeing partly cloudy with maybe like a 30% chance of rain. Obviously, we want this game to be played, with no elements, leaning one way or the other. But Seattle's in the Pacific Northwest. They're used to it. New England's used to it. I would say just from an offensive standpoint, though, it's really the wind that is a big, best friend of an under. But could the rain play a role here? Is that a factor that maybe slows down some of these, these Seattle guys, Rashid Shaheed, some of these deep threats? Do you get kind of a tighter, more compact game if the elements come to play? But still, we don't really know based upon the forecast here. But just I heard someone talk about there could be a chance for rain, so something certainly we should look out for. But I'm right there with you, man. Patriots in the points. The under looks really sharp, and we'll see if we can get. It'd be great if we can get both of those. Hope your teaser wins there as well, Cade. Let's talk some prop betting, because I wanted to ask you your overall philosophy when it comes to betting Super Bowl props, and then we can obviously get into we don't like Rithmm doesn't have an edge on the anthem length or the color of the Gatorade dumped on the coach. You get into some of those novelty props. It really depends on your jurisdiction, your state, what's available to you. Player props, we got locked and loaded, but I just wanted to say a couple words, and then I'll throw it to you, Cade, when it comes to prop betting. I kind of have a little checklist, things that I've developed over time, and I've developed them by losing. So a lot of times the best teacher, they say like necessity is the mother of invention, but losing is a great teacher if you want to get better at sports betting, because you remember your wins that are great, but you always remember your losses. And the idea is that we're all going to lose, but just try to learn from your losing. That therefore you can mitigate it moving forward. My biggest thing is just to everyone listening out there, limit your prop bets. Like I'm seeing on Twitter, Cade, people like screenshotting, oh, these are my props for the Super Bowl with like 25 bets. Like no joke, 30 bets. Like, and I want to say to these people, like, I get it. We're in the content game, so you want to put out a lot of content. And I think sometimes people think, oh, if you have all these props, it's like, wow, they really know what they're doing, and they've researched them all, and what an edge. And I hope you go 25-0, but more likely you're going to lose some of them. And when you are just betting too many props because this is the thing about we're humans. We're excited for the game. I want to hold my notebook and all my props and just check off win, win, win after they all hit. I would be careful. I would not bet, if you're giving me force me to say a number, I wouldn't even go more than 5, 10 at the most. But if you want to make it a half unit, quarter unit, I would just hate to see people nail Patriots 4.5 in the under and hit your teaser, Cade, and then go, 2-8 in props and have a losing night. So I would just limit your props. Number 2, I see a lot of people go for long shots, which I understand. You want to, turn $1 into $1,000 or, have a huge plus money. But a lot of, having talked to a lot of bookmakers throughout the years, especially my buddy Thomas Gable at the Borgata, or, whether it's Chris Andrews or Vinny or some of these guys at the South Point, they'll kind of, tell you that pros are going to bet a lot of no's. If there's a yes, no prop, they'll go no. If there's an over under prop, they'll go under. If there's a plus prop or a minus number prop, they'll go minus numbers. So I just think that is important. Like if you're just betting all these plus 1,000, plus 100, plus 550, in your brain, it's like, okay, I only have to hit a couple of them in order to have a winning night. But just keep in mind that pros are willing to go minus numbers if they feel like they have an edge. So if they see something that's minus 150, the public will say, "Ooh, I risk $1. I'm going to get less than that half back, less than $1 back. So I don't want to play it." No, wise guys, wise gals, they're okay with laying minus numbers, going nose, going unders. So that's important. Um, I have a thought on the coin flip, but I want to throw it to you, Cade. You were talking about the coin flip here. How do you approach the coin flip, the coin toss, whatever you want to call it? And then give me your, if you have it, just thoughts on props in general. Which are the ones you should target? Which are the ones you should lay off? Any other prop based tips?
Yeah, I will say it is a little bit different, I think, for Super Bowl Sunday, only because every average Sunday in the regular season, I'm typically maxing out my like slips in general at maybe like 5 to 6 bets per Sunday, or maybe even less on a lot of Sundays, to be honest with you. I'm not a prop guy. Sides first, totals first, or actually probably totals first and sides second, honestly. Super Bowl Sunday kind of tends to be a little bit different for me personally. I only played them at a half unit regardless throughout the entire season. Nonetheless, I have like 3 for tonight, or not tonight. That was weird.
So we're getting hacked. We're getting hacked by the sports books, Cade.
They don't want to see us win.
You were saying though, with your number of bets going into it.
Yeah, I only have 4 props. Half a unit on each of those, just because I'm a sides first. So I like to play my sides and my totals at a full unit if I can. Everybody's going to be playing so many over props and whatnot, and just props in general. It's like there's so many like specialty tabs that you see. There's a billion different options out there to like just bet on. This is the most random thing. Like I've seen on like Poly Market and stuff like Call Sheet, like they have these weird markets where it's like a player to trip or something crazy. Like who in the world is actually betting on stuff like this? And then next thing you know, they have like first quarter props, second quarter props, third quarter props. And like sometimes pros can find an edge in that kind of stuff, which is kind of where I kind of like give them the benefit of the doubt, because if they have a valid reason, completely different. But if you're just like yamming stuff out there just because it's a big brand or a big player, different circumstance. That's where I kind of like to ask to pump the brakes a little bit. So yeah, 3 on the Super Bowl Sunday. It's something light, I guess you could say. I typically don't even play a lot of props on a general Sunday anyways. Maybe 2 on average. I could, but nonetheless, Rithmm had a lot of edges, so we are at 4. So that's where we're at. On the coin flip thing, I saw FanDuel's prices was minus 104 for each side. I don't know. Tails never fails, I guess. I don't know. If you could find it for even money, sure. I don't know. I'm not really a coin toss better. Maybe I might. I don't know, just to join in on the fun. It's actually one of the Super Bowl festivity parties things that we always do. Everybody just always puts in a pool, and then whatever wins, they pretty much split it on the coin toss just right from the get go. So that's a little fun start for the family party. But I mean, yeah, minus 104 for a coin toss on a 50-50 chance is a little different to me.
No, you're totally right, man. And I'm gonna come off as like the begrudging nerd, like killer of all fun when I say this, but like I was the guy who used to bet the coin toss, and it's like I get it, you only got 1 or 2 chances, so it's 50-50, right? It's either heads or tails. You get it right. I think the appeal with the coin toss is like it's the first thing that's going to get graded. So if you can get a win and you're already 1-0 before we've even had the kickoff, I mean, maybe you even catch the national anthem. Like those early ones, they just resonate with the public, and the public thinks they don't know how hard betting is, and they don't really understand the what juice is and what it means. And again, it's not their fault because they don't really understand the way the odds makers like make you pay a higher price to place a bet, which is why you're actually seeing, as you mentioned, like Kalshi and Novig and ProfitX and all these other ones. They're becoming very appealing as a betting exchange or prediction market, because a lot of times with the betting exchanges, you're going to get a better juice price because you're going up against other bettors and not the house. So, for example, like the coin toss, whatever you want to call it, minus 104 is what you saw at FanDuel. I just checked DraftKings, it's minus 103. I saw one book that's minus 105. Let's just take your minus 104, for example, and explain to people why betting the coin toss is really not a what we call plus EV or plus expected value, or just a valuable bet in general. If we go to what we call the odds converter, or an implied probability, there's a site I use, Kate, it's Ace Odds. You can just Google it. You put in the price of the odds, and then it'll give you an implied probability of how likely that is to happen. So if we put in plus 100, implied probability is 50%, 50-50, you're even money. Makes total sense. You risk a unit, you get a unit. I put in minus 104 into the odds converter. The implied probability there is 51%. So why is that important? It's important because you are paying a price on something that happens 51% of the time, when in reality, it only happens 50% of the time. So basically, you are paying more than you should, and therefore you're playing right into the hands of the sports books. And the reason why I think you see a lot of sports books promote the coin toss so much is exactly what you mentioned, Cade. It's minus 104 both sides. It's not like heads plus 100, tails minus 105. Because it's minus numbers on both sides, the sports books are like, kick back, we're good. No matter what happens, heads
Easy
or
money.
tails,
Yep.
they're gonna rake in the juice on everyone who has bet this. So that's just a rule of thumb in general. Like, if you follow sports books on Twitter, and they're pumping out some kind of bet to you, think of it as, why are they doing that? Why are they promoting the coin flip? Why are they saying, come join with us, we'll give you $200 in bonus bets and start your night off with a 1-0 win with the coin toss? That being said, so for me, I'm not betting it because, one, I'm getting bad odds. I'm paying for something that should happen 51% of the time when it only happens 50% of the time. I don't want to play into the hands of the books and give them more money when they're already taking advantage of people. But number three is, if you can find, like, here's the one example, the caveat. And you said this as well, if you can find a book giving you plus 100, give it a shot. If that's what you want to do, if that's going to make your day and have some fun, at least you're paying a price that is requisite with, the implied probability of it actually happening. But that's just one that, like, people, I see it so often on Twitter, and like, we're going to my mother-in-law's for the Super Bowl party, and she's awesome. She's already talking about the food she's making. I can't wait, and I can already feel like there's going to be like, oh, let's bet the coin toss. And I don't want to be the, like, the wet blanket that's like, well, actually it's 51%. Like, I don't want to be one of those people, but my point is, know what you're getting into. Know that if you're betting it at minus whatever, you're playing right into the book's hand. So that's just something that I think is worth mentioning. Kate, any other prop talk, novelty stuff, or anything else, or should we get into some of these player props?
I'm not really a novelty guy, so yeah, I'm with you. Unless if it's just a family festive thing, yeah, it's fun. Like, they split into two teams and they just pick a side. So I'm like, whatever, take your $10, put it on a side, and just let's get this started, I guess. Yeah, after that, we're done.
It used to be too, like, I think I told you this story like last week, but like, a lot of these legal books don't get into like what I would call the fun novelty props. Like, if you look, there isn't a length of the national anthem. And I always remember, like, Cade, and you know this too, once it starts, as soon as it ends, everyone is going to do the stopwatch from their iPhone and then tweet their iPhone, like 2 minutes, 21 seconds, like,
every
and then
time
people debate. And then there's an argument. Oh, 2 point, like, whatever. But just remember, like, not all books and states allow this kind of stuff. So if you do want to get on this action, you're gonna have to get a little bit creative. What's Bad Bunny's first song gonna be? What's Green Day gonna say? In the pregame show, like, color of the Gatorade, all that kind of stuff. First commercial, all that. You're gonna have to go prop hunting to find the book that's gonna offer that to you. Don't expect your legal book to offer that, because there's a lot of legality involved of if it's not graded within the box score, they're not going to offer it. With all that being said, that was Cade and I saying, don't bet the coin flip. Let's
No
go to
fun,
player
guys.
props because Rithmm does luckily provide these awesome player prop discrepancies. And I want to start off with one because I'm automatically going to gravitate to where our sharp indicators are at. I'll just mention this because these are so popular passing props. We really don't have anything lit up on either quarterback. So Darnold under 228.5, slight edge, but it's a caution, 216. Drake May, 221.5. He's predicted 209, but the weather's good. You've had 2 weeks to prepare. I don't really see anything either way with passing yardage. First thing that jumped out to me is a guy that we hit on last week, Cade, Rhamondre Stevenson. So Rhamondre going under 14.5 rush attempts. This is the first smart signal that Rithmm has for the Super Bowl. And the idea here is, I think from a game plan standpoint, Seattle has a really good rush defense. They're one of the best in the NFL. They're only giving up 93 yards on the ground. That's number 3 overall. Patriots are top 5 as well. But is Rhamondre going to get a ton of carries here and just go right up the gut into this really good rush defense of Seattle? Rithmm is saying the game script probably is to go the other way, to go under in this spot. Now he's predicted with a smart signal 8.8 rushing attempts. Example here of how they come to this conclusion. You're looking at conditions, the price of the prop bet, situations from this player and similar players in this spot. What I also like about this one is you can kind of sell high on Rhamondre because I fully admit, as a Patriots fan, and I've been betting on or against the Pats in every postseason game, he's been awesome. In the Houston game, he got a ton of carries, 16 overall. He got 25 against Denver. But I think in both of those games, if you remember, the Denver game was a blizzard, snowstorm. Houston was also a snowstorm. So, if it's hard to throw, you're going to run it more. If you look at, again, I mentioned there could be some rain in this game, probably not, but it's a possibility. But if you're 67 degrees in California on a grass field and it's just, nice and warm, are you going to be forced to run the ball, countless times? I just feel like the weather in the spot maybe is a benefit to him going under, especially going up against a really good rush defense. So Rhamondre under 14.5, selling high and following this Rithmm recommendation makes a ton of sense to me. So I'd lean hard here with Rhamondre's under 14.5. And then I'll just throw this one at you, Cade. Travion Henderson, or I guess Kenneth Walker as well. Walker under 18.5. He's predicted 15.8. But Henderson, does he get more attempts, like over 5.5? I could see him getting six rushes. It's a little bit of a buy low. He only had 3 in the last game against Denver, but historically he's been pretty good this year, especially with some time off. So any of these jump out to you just from an attempt standpoint, Cade? The Rhamondre under, the Walker under, the Henderson over, or we can also move on to receiving yards.
Yeah, perfect one to lean on or start off with because it is my favorite one by far. I caught myself on both his attempts and his 100 yards, but I'll hit on the attempts first, obviously. Guy's been hot. Like, probably one of the hottest running backs, actually, in the postseason as of late. He's been used a ton, but he's also been used a lot in the passing game. In this circumstance, Patriots' running scheme doesn't exactly fit Seattle's rushing defensive scheme because they like to play a lot of inside zone kind of things. Patriots aren't exactly a bounce outside, catch the edge, blah, blah, blah. That's Rhamondre's game, is like just in the teeth of the defense and the gaps, and then just get your yards where you can. Not very typically good at it. Now, it more so helps with his under yards more than it does his attempts. And I honestly think he's going to be kind of a bell cow in this first quarter, first half, and then they kind of lay away from him in the second half and just kind of let Travion kind of take over. Which, to your point, I do expect a lot of dump offs. I expect a lot of screens, outside zones because he's a faster guy. So I think if they can work him in that second half game plan, or just anytime, I guess you could say, by all means, they're going to probably switch guys at some point. So I'm not really a big fan of Stevenson's game in this particular setting. But until like the second half of the game, I like Travion to kind of take the reins a little bit there and let Stevenson be the red zone guy typically.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Stevenson also, because I'm a Pats fan, I've been listening to kind of commentary on stuff. He's gotten, I guess, fewer carries because if you look at like his pass protection, he's kind of been whiffing a little bit, and how much do they trust him in these spots? But obviously, you're going up against Seattle. They're not obviously the the bookends of like Will Anderson and the Texans and Daniil Hunter. So can you get to the outside? Can you find a way to kind of get him out in space, which is where he's really productive. Aside from the attempts, if we go to rushing yards, we really didn't have any lit up green star opportunities here, Cade. I did notice there was a caution flag with Kenneth Walker over 73.5. He's predicted 82.6. That's intriguing because it is a decent discrepancy there, nearly a 10 yardage discrepancy. But also, Patriots have one of the best rush defenses in the league. And for a long time, they hadn't given up a guy going up like over 50 yards. I think maybe that ended recently or has kind of tailed off a bit. But also, we saw with Kenneth Walker, with Charbonnet getting hurt, that puts more pressure on him, more obviously more on his plate. Henderson, who we just mentioned, that's a pretty decent edge. Over 18.5 predicted 27. So that's doable. You look at Ramondre, he's technically an underplay, under 49.5 predicted 45.5. But none of these yardage attempts are in green. So we can maybe move on here. I want to get to some receivers because of all of these prop bets here, Cade. This is where we got kind of the most system matches. The first one that really caught my eye, other than I must say, Jake Bobo, can he get you 1 yard? I mean, I feel like it's possible. He's predicted around 10. He's gone over this number in his last 2 games. But one, just because we got to hit on him because everyone loves playing him and he's awesome. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's an over-under of 93.5. I mean, you're getting into like peak Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson territory there with an over-under of nearly, close to 100 yards. Rhythm's predicting 67.4. So even though it's a caution flag, Cade, I could get behind this because it's the most popular guy to bet on of all the prop of, or at least across the market. It's one of the most popular bets to go over with the public. So just from the standpoint of you and I talking all the time, when we do this, talking about Thursday night games or Monday nighters or one-offs, extremely heavily bet game. Everyone's playing the star receiver to go over. This is a wheelhouse play to go the other way and go under. And as great as he is, he's probably going up against Christian Gonzalez, who's one of the better cornerbacks in football. So maybe that mitigates Smith and Jigba a little bit here. And if you're the Patriots and you're Mike Vrabel, do you go to that Bill Belichick thought of, I want to take away your best player? Like if Seattle beats me with the tight ends and Cooper Kupp, so be it. But I'm not going to let your best player just shred me across the field. So do they double him? Is there some help over the top? Whatever the case may be, that's notable to me that the guy that everyone wants to play the over, you actually have a near 25, 27 yard edge to go under there. So that makes a little bit of sense. Any thoughts on JSN, Cade? Like, is that a play that interests you at all going under just from a contrarian standpoint, or how do you view the matchup against the Patriots and probably Christian Gonzalez?
Yeah. Contrarian standpoint, I think I'd obviously be on it. In terms of New England's defense fitting that kind of thing, they are 10 against wide receivers in PPR formats. Let me see. I think compared to his prop lines, he's quite over that line in a lot of games. And I know Rhythm likes to kind of be on the opposite side of these star wide receivers. And as stated pretty earlier in the season, they did very well for the most part. There was only a couple of times I can remember off the top of my head where it was just kind of, I don't want to say bad bets, but just like they didn't hit. They didn't really work out. Which, like I said, it's going to happen. You're not going to go undefeated on these smart signals, on these green stars and whatnot. But they are profitable. Like you said, he is by far the top-rated wide receiver in this entire game. And as I pretty much stated all year, comparing my prop model with Rhythm's prop model, I have him at 89. like I said, whenever I kind of like to match them up, I like to play them. I only didn't play it because of the other props that I had already, and because it wasn't necessarily a green star play. Nonetheless, massive discrepancy, and ultimately the discrepancy there in the edge that you're getting on almost 30 yards is a good enough edge, even though you don't even have that green star next to it, personally.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that your model has 89 too. I mean, that's only a 4 yard edge, but still your model is below the number, rhythms below the number, and you're fading a very, very popular player when the public's hammering the over. So that makes a ton of sense to me. If we can get to some green stars here, Kayshawn Booty. I mean, this is one of your top recommended plays from Rithmm. Booty to go over 29.5 receiving yards. Rithmm is predicting 46.5. So nice little 17-yard edge between the market and what Rithmm is predicting. And what I like about this one is you can really buy low in favor of Kayshawn Booty, because going into the AFC Championship game, he had a couple catches, but really did just, got, stopped immediately when he caught it, landed with less than 10 yards. So if the public is remembering what you did, what have you done for me lately? A lot of people who bet his over last week cost him money. They lost that bet. So the first inclination is, oh, I don't want to play this guy to go over again when he just lost for me the previous week. So you have that buy low opportunity with Kayshawn Booty. But prior to in that Houston game, he had that incredible one-handed catch. In the Chargers game, he had 66 yards. You look at, just how he's performed home versus road. This is technically a road game. You're buying a little bit low here. But Booty is a guy who's had that connection with Drake May. It was funny, Cade. They asked him the other night at the media day, like, you had a career year this year. Like, what was the reason for your success? And he said 2 words, Drake May. So his connection with Drake May, that deep ball, makes Booty definitely an interesting play here. And again, if you can get, a guy who has got a great connection with a QB to go 30 yards or more on you, predicted closer to 50, that makes a lot of sense to me. So I would go with Booty over. And then another guy who didn't do much last week, but also has another really good green star play, is Austin Hooper, second tight end for the Patriots. Can he get us 10 yards, Cade? That could be one catch. That could be a couple catches. It is a smart signal, so not just a green star, but really the best of the best that Rithmm has to offer. He did have 14 against the Broncos, I guess, but prior to that, didn't really do much. But what I like about Hooper over 9.5 is he's played in the Super Bowl. He was on that Falcons team, that 28-3 game that the Pats came back in. So he's a guy who has some experience with a big game. So if you're and this is something that I didn't even mention when we were talking about Patriots plus 4.5, the experience factor. Vrabel's been in the Super Bowl as a player. McDaniels, I believe, is coaching in his 10th Super Bowl all time. And you have a couple other players like Milton Williams was in it last year. But that institutional knowledge of knowing what this big game is like, it's a long halftime. Don't get down if you're in a deficit early. I just think the experience, the mental, kind of experience of Hooper being in the spot could be a decent advantage. Any thoughts on these guys, Cade? Hooper over. Matt Collins is interesting to me. He's sitting at 24.5, predicted 35. And coming back from his injury, he's been pretty good. Any of these jump out to you that you want to play? Or what does your model have on Booty or some of these guys?
I didn't look on Booty, but again, going back to Rhythm's thing with following just certain guys over the course of the postseason, Booty has been one of those guys. If it wasn't for the crazy snowstorm that hit Denver, he probably might have hit his number, to be completely honest with you, because it was a fairly shorter number similar to this game as well. I think it was around maybe around 25, if I remember correctly. And he got the targets for it. It's just that weather, man. Like it's no joke when it's in Denver like that and it comes out of nowhere. So I don't blame him. And a lot of people are going to overlook that. So I think it's benefit of the doubt there that he has the talent to very much so exceed 30 yards in this case. Nonetheless, let's see. I have 36. So another one where they kind of agree as well, or that one's a decent discrepancy also. Green Star, I'm all for it. Again, like I said, if they agree, then it's usually a play. It's just usually when I already have stuff pending. Normally I would add it in, but we'll take our mind win or mental win if he hits it. And if that's the case.
Nothing wrong with that, man. And talking about our prop conversation too, like cannot stress this enough. Shop around. There are different books offering
Absolutely.
different numbers. You got to do your part. You know, you can't guarantee a win. We can't guarantee Booty's going to get you 30 or more, but I can tell you, Cade, that if you go bet it at BetMGM, you're getting 28.5. You know, all these other books are 29.5. DraftKings is 31.5. Shout out to Megan and Brian and the whole crew at Rithmm, because they've created this bet sync opportunity where if you want to go boom, pounce on that over 28.5, you can hit it, tap it with your finger or your mouse. It'll go right to your book and you can go place that bet. So regardless of what you're going to bet, like, look at this. What's up with Poly Market? Can he get you 1 yard for minus 640? I don't totally understand that, but
I was just looking at that.
But I'll go the minus 110 over 28.5. That makes more sense to me, Cade. Any other props jumping out to you? I'm just kind of cruising through here. We did have for receptions a couple guys light up. Bobo to get 1 catch. Shaheed to get you 2 catches. Who else do we have? Austin
I did
Hooper
have Shaheed,
too.
yeah.
So that's about it for green stars. So I guess Hooper, Booty, over. Ramondre's under attempts. Jackson Smith and Jigba under receiving yardage. These are all pretty good recommended plays here from the Rithmm side.
Yeah, I did have Shaheed. I knew that. I forgot about that one.
Ooh. Do you have him over 1.5 catches?
Yeah, I followed Rithmm with that one on the green star there. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So, of course, we're going to follow late movement, see how this develops between now and Sunday. But I think the whole point of this is to check in a few days before and kind of see what's lighting up. Now, there could be other things that light up between now and Sunday. Keep an eye out for any late movement. Another recommendation that I always tell people, Kate, is like, if you're on your smartphone and you're pulling up your sportsbook account, just take some screenshots. Boom. A couple screenshots, give you a reference point for some of these props, and then just see how they move between now and Sunday. And if you see one that like totally crashes, maybe an opportunity to buy low and go over, or maybe you're looking to play one book off another, get a better juice price. That's always important. Any other thoughts on the Super Bowl, Kate, or should we finish off with one college basketball play? Because I got one college hoops play for tonight I want to hit on.
I think we've done our part. I think that's about it.
Yeah. No, I think we kind of covered everything. The one that I wanted to talk about happens to be, ironically enough, I hope I'm not jinxing myself, the same team that we talked about last week, Cade. Cal State Northridge. I don't know what it is. Maybe in another life I was a Cal State Northridge basketball player or something. I don't know. But they are on the road at Cal Poly tonight. And this one jumped out to me as again, what I like to do is align the market with what Rithmm is predicting here. So it's a late night sweat, 10 o'clock Eastern time. We open Cal State Northridge as a very short 1.5 point favorite on the road. They've now been bet up to -2 or -2.5. So the line is clearly going toward Cal State Northridge. And it's a late overlook game where public doesn't care too much about it. But because of that line move, tells me smart money is sided with Northridge. Ken Palm has them winning by 2. So it's a money line play for me. I want to protect myself just on the off chance they only win by 1 or 2. And I really like the splits here. At DraftKings, only 59% of bets, but 81% of dollars are on Northridge. And I do have a system match here. If you're a short road favorite, -4 or less, and the line moves at least a half point in your direction, those teams are 79 and 44 this year, 64%, 10% ROI. Cal Poly is only 4-1 at home this year, one of the worst, second worst, or tied for the worst home one-loss record in the Big West. You also look at some stats in terms of some Ken Palm analytics. Cal State Northridge has the better offensive efficiency, defensive efficiency, offensive rebound percentage, and they limit their opponents to fewer offensive rebounds as well. All that being said, we go over to our college basketball tab and we go to our games and we populate our games for tonight. And we go all the way down to Cal State Northridge visiting Cal Poly. That's for tomorrow. But let's see, right here. Couple leans on the spread, -2.5, favored by 3.1, favored by 2.7. But what I like here, Cade, a couple of green star money lines, just the direction I was leaning. Because again, I like to money line short favorites. Once you lay a 2.5, they win by 1 or 2, and you feel the hurt of that kind of situation. To me, that's what makes you go money line moving forward. But 2 green star plays predicting Cal State Northridge to win this game. So I'm going to follow these Rithmm recommendations and go Matadors, hopefully to win outright around -130 on the money line.
Sickos game. That's funny. I was looking at an under in this one too. That's actually really funny that you brought this up.
Ooh,
Almost.
It's a very high number.
I almost did, but I actually did it. It's just really funny. These are actually the 2 fastest paced teams in the country. And yeah, I want to play an under.
Well, yeah, maybe they're hey, you can be fast, but can you finish? What are their offensive numbers, Maybe you're
I'm for it.
Back and forth and hopefully staying under the total.
I think
But just wanted to explain and show that, hey, this is a Super Bowl specific show, but Rithmm got you covered with everything here because we have NFL, NBA, college hoops. Baseball is not far off, Cade. And at some point we got to talk win totals and maybe how we attack MLB. But if you're worried or sad about NFL ending after Sunday, college hoops is about to really go off with conference tournaments, March Madness, and then hopefully that means spring is not too far away.
Oh, please.
Because we need it.
Lord.
Although, Cade, my allergies in spring go nuts too, so I might be struggling like you when the
I'm vice versa. It hits me like a truck at the beginning of the year, man. I can't shake it. I see 14 inches on the ground of snow, and I'm just like, feel like, yeah, it's rough. It's all right, It's just breathing. You don't need to breathe.
Yeah,
be a mouth breathe.
Exactly. Well, hope you feel better, man.
We're good.
You're good by Sunday.
We're good. I'll be there no matter what, whether they like it or not. Yeah.
Yeah. At least cash your tickets. Maybe that'll make the allergies feel better.
Pay for the meds. How about that?
We just want to say thank you to everybody for tuning into this special Super Bowl rundown. Thank you for tuning in all year long. Thank you to Rithmm, as always, for giving us this platform to promote the Rithmm product and show people how to use it to their advantage. And hope everyone enjoys the Super Bowl. I'll be rooting like heck, Cade, for the Patriots to win because I'm a Pats fan. But +4.5. Can you just lose by 4 or less? If you win, hey, I'll be ecstatic here. But hopefully we get your teaser, that 10.5 with the under 52.5. Hope everyone has a great Super Bowl Sunday. Cade, any final thoughts? Take us home, man. Let's wrap it up here.
Yeah, man. Just really thankful for the opportunity. Obviously, it's been a great season. Doing this alongside of you, of course, learned a lot, gained a lot with all the viewers that kind of jumped in here all season long and rode along with us. We had a lot of good feedback and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see for the first time show that I've really ever done on like a weekday. So it was really cool just to kind of have my Thursdays reserved for a sports talk show. How about that? That was a cool excuse. So yeah, hopefully we'll be back at it next year and hopefully maybe even sooner than that. But yeah, like I said, thank you for a fantastic season. And hopefully we get to end the year off in some green on Sunday, of course.
That'll be a fantastic ending, man. And yeah, shout out to you. You were awesome this year, Cade. And thank you to Megan and Brian for giving us this opportunity.
Yeah.
And hope to see everyone soon and enjoy the final game of the year, Cade. But remember, football is year-long betting endeavor. And I'll be one of those weirdos waiting for all the NFL draft bets to populate and then try to cash some of those as well. But good luck, everybody. Cade, feel better, my man. And enjoy the Super Bowl. Go Pats.